About the start of Muse
We started with I lived in a town called Teignmouth, which is like southwest countryside of England, sort of quite a very rural place, about a few hours from London, like, and there's nothing really happened there. It's very boring, especially for kids around 13, 15. You couldn't get into the bars, couldn't drink, and there was no nightlife. There was nothing to do really, so we used to drink a lot and stuff and do stuff like that down the seafront, and it wasn't very, very good. And I started hanging out with these girls who were like really hot, and like they were like they wanted to be witches, and I thought I might have been on something, because I thought it was a load of bullshit, Because at the time I was doing all this Ouija board stuff with my mum, and I was thinking, so I was involved with that. I don't believe that now, but at the time I think, when I met these girls, I thought it was a chance to get laid, and they were talking about getting in bands and stuff, so we started getting bands together. I started wearing loads of makeup actually and all this stupid hair and stuff, and I was just trying to get laid with these women, really. But that was sort of how it started, we were in these different bands. But then as we got to about the age of 16, most of the bands started splitting up and people started losing interest in that, and me, Dom and Chris formed a band called Rocket Baby Dolls, and it's just the three of us, and we formed that name just for 1 week in order to, first of all, try and get these women, you know what I mean? And they're like, they dressed us up and stuff. We started hanging out with them, and it was starting to happen. And we were still wearing all this stuff from Rocket Baby Dolls, and we went into this competition, like a Battle of the Bands contest with all these other bands, and all the other bands were like really sort of funky, sort of pub rock, and they were like older. So we went there just to take the piss out of it, really, and we sort of chucked our instruments around and did all this sort of thing, and we had all these women on stage naked and shit, and we thought we did it all just to take the piss, But we ended up winning, and when we won the competition, that sort of, we suddenly thought, actually, maybe we should do this more seriously. So we changed the name to Muse and sort of mellowed out a bit for a while. Not musically, the music was still real heavy, but we sort of just concentrated on making music for the next couple of years, really. And then we released our first EP when we were about 19.
Could you explain the name change? Why?
We were called Rocket Baby Dolls because it was a Japanese porn film we saw, and we saw it with these girls, and we were sort of all dressing up together, And it's just like at the time I was in other bands called Gothic Plague, which was different members. It wasn't Dom and Chris. When Dom and Chris got together, we only got together to form this one thing for 1 week, And it was, but when we won the competition, that we realised actually we should stay together, and that was when we actually took it more seriously and put together like an actual band. Before that it was more like just a bit of theatrical fun.
According to the press in Britain, you're quite upfront as persons and theatrical. Yeah. Do you see yourself?
I see myself not very often, really. I don't know. I don't know. I'm not sure. Maybe there's an element of. I think when we're on stage, when we're playing on stage, I think that's really who I am. That's that's the most honest person I could be. It's like everything inside me coming out, and that's like that's what I love about playing live. That's why I love playing live so much. It's one of the main reasons I got into a band, was to get that feeling, of pure freedom. And the thing is, if you get used to doing gigs like every day and stuff, and you get used to living like that, I think you generally become a little bit more open. You become a bit more sort of like that sort of way of thinking starts to rub off in your everyday life, and you start. So I think it's probably something maybe I'm not sure about theatrical, but I don't think we're anything different to other people, I mean, it's just the same as anyone else, really, but just having a good time as much as possible, really. And well, on stage, you're pushing yourself to your limits. You're finding your own physical limits, finding out what notes I can sing, and how you're pushing yourself. So in that process, maybe you react in a way that's flamboyant. I think that's just being on stage.
And the press again, they accuse you of like copying a famous band called like Thumb York's band. Yes, like you react to that.
I don't really mind too much. I think that everyone's entitled to their own opinion. You know, everyone says what they want. I think that's what makes the world interesting. You know, some people love it, some people hate it, some people think you're fake, some people think you're the realest thing. You know, it's just different opinions, and I think that conflict is interesting. I'd rather that than everyone being the same. You know, so I think everyone can everyone can say what they want, and I don't. You know, I'm interested whether it's good or bad.
Could you describe your music?
I'd say it's like a combination of modern rock styles, you know, things like Rage Against the Machine to Queen. Rage Against the Machine, a bit Jeff Buckley maybe or something, but a combination of modern rock combined with an appreciation for the history of the evolution of music. You know, I listened to a lot of I did a lot of flamenco guitar stuff, a lot of flamenco lessons, not lessons, I mean flamenco learning, Spanish guitar. That's like folk music, so some folk music from Europe, and like I listen to a bit of classical music as well. So that's what I mean when I say the history of the evolution of different musics from European history, because European has a great, you know, evolution of music over hundreds of years. That probably combined with some modern American rock type stuff. Yeah.